So we are in the end of chapter 15. We had one question open. If you remember, we saw here Nachalat Shevet Yehuda, which is disproportional big relatively to any other tribe, unless we would consider Shevet Yosef as one tribe. If you can see on the map a little bit, you can see, well, if Menashe and Ephraim are both sons of Yosef. Yosef is the same level in the family as Yehuda. So we can say that Yosef and Ephraim together is quite a big Nachala. You can see all the blue part here, the yellow here, the two sides of Menashe, and Ephraim in the middle, so they get a very big Nachala for one son of Yaakov. And Yehuda also has a very, very big Nachala. And we asked, why is this disproportion? Why Yehuda received so much space, more than any other tribe? Let's leave now, for now, Shevet Yosef, or the sons of Yosef that we're going to see next chapter, Bezrat Hashem. So we gave two answers, and we said we need another answer. The two answers that we already said was that, first of all, big part of Nachalat Shevet Yehuda is a desert. It's not a place where you can live. You can see, for example, if you look on Nachalat Shevet Zvulun, it's all the very, very fertile zone of Haifa and I forgot the name. Israel, Emek Israel, that is go between Haifa and Yarden. So all this part it's a very, very good land, and it's very good to live there. But in the desert, all the part from south from Beersheba, you cannot live, or you almost cannot live, or it's very hard to live. Today, Baruch Hashem, we have water and we have electricity, it's much easier. But in the old days, it's really, really very hard to live. It's only, how do you say, nomads, people that go from one place to another to look for food for the sheep. Maybe they can live there, but it's not a place where you can live. That was the first answer. And the second, we complete this answer saying also that Shevet Yehuda was very big, with a lot of people. So maybe they need more space. So this we can say the technical answers for that. I'm not sure it's completely answer it, but I have another answer, which I think it's more important. And to understand that, I want to return to a question that we didn't answer in the beginning. How exactly was the land divided by the tribes, to the tribes? How did they decide, each tribe, what part of the land would they get? The answer to this question is in the parasha that we read last Shabbat, Parashat Pinchas. It's interesting that Parashat Pinchas has a lot of connection to Sefer Yehoshua, many connections. Actually, Yehoshua was named as a leader of Am Yisrael after Moshe in Parashat Pinchas. And the story of Not Tzlofchad that we are going to see soon. And also, we are going to see here in chapter Kafvav in Sefer B'Midbar. Where is it? Just a second. Yeah, here. In chapter Kafvav, Sefer B'Midbar, in the verse 24, it says, Moshe Rabbeinu explained, HaKadosh Baruch Hu explained to Moshe Rabbeinu how should they divide the land of Israel. He said, Hashem spoke to Moshe saying, among these shall the land be apportioned as shares according to the listed names. If you remember in the parasha that we read, we saw that the families, there was another census, when they count the people, census. And there was this family and this family to this tribe, this family. So the apportioned of the country should be according to these names. This I want now explain what does it mean. And then Hashem explained to Moshe how should it work. It says, with larger groups increase the share, with smaller groups reduce the share. L'rav tarbe nachalato, u'lema'at tamit nachalato. Each is to be assigned its share according to its enrollment. What does it mean? That you should see, if a tribe is a big tribe, it should get a big portion of the land. big tribe, meaning a lot of people. If you have a lot of people, you should give them a bigger part. If there's a smaller amount of people, you should give a smaller part. It's a very logical way to divide it, right? So they should look on the land, look which place has enough space to each other. So meaning that they didn't divide the country in equal parts. It's received this amount of land. No, it was according to the number of people. Later, it's also said, it's written in Rashi, that it was beshuma. What does it mean, beshuma? Meaning also about according to the quality. Like I said before, if the land is not good to habit in it, it's not good to live in it, you don't consider it as a place that is a very good. So we can say that the way to divide the country was very rational, according to the space, according to the number of people, according to the quality of the land. And then the verse continues and saying, Ach begoral yechalek et haaretz. The land, moreover, is to be apportioned by lot. So how would it be? By lot or according to the number of people? What? Inside the tribe. So how would it work? They decide, I have, 100,000 people. They should receive this amount of country. Where? Right? So this is they should get a bigger part. No? So how would it? What? Yeah.
No. The land would apportion between tribes, but inside the tribes would apportion by law.
Inside the tribes. Yeah. So how do you decide that Yehuda is going to be here and the Ephraim is going to be here? By lot or not by lot? Not by lot. That's what you think. Okay. Let's finish reading and see how Chachamim understand that. But I want to make clear that to make sure that the question is clear. If you say that it's according to the numbers, so it's by decisions that you should take in a rational way. You count how many people, and you say, well, this is a portion of the land that belongs to that amount of people. But if you say by lot, it's accidentally. You just take, well, the Galil goes to Zvulun. The desert go to Yehuda. It's not going according to the people. So there are two different ways of deciding. We can talk everybody and decide together how it's going to be divided, or we can say, well, let's just do a lot, and what's going on, what's going to be. I mean, the lot is going to decide what's going to happen. We are not have to decide it by ourselves. So let's read until the end of these verses of Sefer Bemidbar. Each is to be assigned to the share according to his enrollment. The land, moreover, is to be apportioned by lot, and the allotment shall be made according to the listing of their ancestral tribes. Each person shall be assigned by lot, whether for larger or smaller groups. Okay, so always the two aspects, by lot or by numbers. So I will not read Rashi. Rashi explain according to Chachamim. I will try to explain how it works according to Rashi. There are other opinions, but I think this is the easiest to understand, and maybe the most logical. Rashi say like that. They went, we're going to see in the next chapters, Yehoshua sent messengers all over the country, and they saw the country, they get to know the country, and they decided how to divide it. How to divide it according to, like I said before, quality and some logical form, structure of the land. This is the land of mountains. This is the land of near the sea. This is the land. And also so what is the adequate part according to the number of the people. So the people of Judah need a bigger part. The people of Ephraim maybe need also a big part. So they decided according to logical way. And then they decided each one where you should receive. So it was all divided by some kind of negotiation. Okay, they talked between themselves. They were discussion about different parts. Maybe, okay, the border should be here, should be there. So everything was decided according to a rational way of dividing the country. This was the first stage. And then was the second stage, the miracle stage. They wrote these parts, let's say Galil, the zone of Haifa, the zone of the desert, Beersheba, and they put the borders exactly in one note. And then they put the names of the tribes in other notes, and they put in 2 boxes. And the president of the tribe came, for example, the president of the tribe Yehuda, and say, well, I am the president of tribe Yehuda. I will now see what's going on. So he took a note from one box, and it says Yehuda. This was a miracle. Each one of the presidents took by accident, just took one of the notes, and it always went and said the name of the tribe, Yehuda. After that, he took from the other box another note, and it always came out exactly the same portion that was decided before. So I understand it's a combination of natural way and a miracle. They decided according to what they thought is suitable. Yehuda should be there, Ephraim should be there, etc. And after that, they did a lot, and the lot confirmed what they already decided. And it was a miracle, right? That the tribe of Yehuda came, it's exactly what came out from that. So here's the question, so why is it needed? If it's going to turn out exactly in the way they thought in the beginning, so why is the lot was necessary? So Chachamim said that it's the Midrash say it's in order to avoid fighting. It's not only the decision of this group of people. Hashem confirmed the way Am Israel decided, but it may be even more than that. Another explanation says, and to explain that, we'll give another example of marriage. There is a Midrash that says something interesting. It says 40 days before a person is created inside his mother, so the mother gets pregnant, 40 days before that, there is a voice in the sky that says, this person going to marry this daughter of this person. Then Ploni lebat Ploni, right? They're going to get married. So like the marriage is something that is decided before. But then the person get born and he start to looking for his wife. So did he decide it? Finally found it and he get married. Was it decided before or did he find it by himself? He find by himself what was decided before. Meaning he should have made efforts. He should have looked for that and try maybe dating that one and another one. In the end, he find what was decided to him in the beginning by his own efforts, by his own looking for what belongs to him. There's also some parables in the Talmud. It says, like a person is looking for something that was lost from him. Why? Because the woman was part of him, right? They were divided. The first man was divided. So meaning that we were together in the beginning. And so he lost this part. Now he's looking for it. He's going to look what was lost from him.
So you're saying 40 days before you're born is already determined?
Not you were born. Your mother got pregnant.
From the time she gets pregnant?
Yeah, 40 days before the time she was pregnant, she became pregnant.
It was decided.
Yeah. That was the Talmud say. It's a midrash. You not necessarily have to understand it literally because it makes a lot of questions. What's happening if they get divorced? So it was decided, or there's a lot of questions about that, but that's a general idea. The general idea is, and that's what I want to say also about that. There is something that is suitable for you because Hashem created in this way. It's suitable for you to get married with that. It's suitable to you to live in this part of the land. The Shevet Yehuda has the character of living in the south, and Shevet Issachar, Naphtali, where I used to live in Israel, is the places that are decorated to the tribe of Naphtali. That was decided before, according to the character, the traits that these people have, okay? But it's something that you should find it by yourself. You should find by yourself what was decided is suitable for you before you was born. So what's happening is, first of all, if you make this effort, so you build it, you are doing that. It's not only, well, you just got it, you were born, stick to another woman like it was in the beginning. Okay, you are not born like that. It's something that you have to achieve by yourself, to build by yourself, to make an effort to find it. And in the end, we also believe that there is providence, meaning Hashem is doing the things in the way that the right things are going to happen in the end. most of the cases, the right thing is going to happen in the end. So also here we can say that Hashem knew from the beginning that the tribe of Yehuda should live in the south. But he wanted us to find out by ourselves. We should investigate the land, we should send messengers, we should negotiate, we should find the right way to divide according to the people, number of people, according to the quality of the land, according to the tendencies of the tribe. For example, we have Shevet Asher near the sea, or Shevet Zvulun near the sea, because they were people that did negotiation and how do you say, business with countries from the other side of the sea. Okay, so I mean, and it's also said in the bracha of Yaakov, when Yaakov Avinu blessed the tribe, he mentioned where they are going to come from. Dan Gur Aryeh Yezanek Mina Bashan. Or Dan is going, Bashan is place in the north. Or Zvulun Lechof Yamim Mishkon. Zvulun is going to live near the sea. So there are places that are adequate, that fit to the character of certain tribe. And that was known before, and that was decided before. Hashem knew that already. And he let the people work and fight by themselves what are the right place for them. And then the Goral, the lot, showed that the decision was well made. That what should have happened, that's exactly what's happened in the end. So there are a combination of, again, human effort, trying to figure out what is suitable for you, where you should live. And then after that also, we can say divine design. Hashem designed everything and planned everything in the way that each tribe get what he deserves, what is good for him. Having said that, we should understand that there are specific places to specific tribes, which are the right place for them. Okay, so according to what? According to the character. We can say more generally that there are connections between the land, the climate, the way the land is, and the character of the people who live in it, the nations living here. It may sound maybe today not politically correct or racist or something like that, but we have character of nations. The nations are not the same. It doesn't mean that each member of the nation must be the same as others. Of course, there are diversity and very various kind of people inside each nation. But we can say that very generally, there are character of nations. I give examples, and it's related to the place where they live. I mean, example very, very superficial. It's not like that exactly what I'm trying to say, but we say it very generally, we would say that people from northern countries are colder than people in southern countries. For example, the people in South Europe, Spanish or Italian, are warmer, we can say the character is warmer than people from Finland. Do you agree? General. It's very general, again, because there are warm people in the north and cold people in the south. They're not talking about each one, but there is what we call national psychology or national character in some meaning. And it's related to the place, of course, to the culture, to the history, but also to the climate and to the place. Living in the desert, for example, make you tough, make you strong, but also maybe insistent. Or living in the north, in the sun, in the snow, may make you a little bit more quiet. I don't know exactly how to connect it exactly, right? But we can see that there are, during the history, development of national character. And that means that specific places are adequate to specific nations. And this is a connection, and each one who live in a country usually loves the country. I mean, again, very, very generally, he loves the way. I mean, he would prefer to be here, maybe because he gets used to that, or maybe because it's the right place for him in many, many meanings. So when Shevet Yehuda received his part, that was the right place for him to live. Having said that, we should ask ourselves again, so I return to the question, why Shevet Yehuda received such a big part? And that's something that's interesting, that is unique to Shevet Yehuda, that he has in his Nachala all kinds of climate or lands that are in the land of Israel. Part of his Nachala is near the sea, on the seashore, how do you say, seashore. Part of his nachala is desert. Part of his nachala is a mountain. We explain how the land of Israel is more or less, all this is mountains, right? All the central part of the country is mountains until here, until Hebron, more or less. So he has part in the mountain. This part between the sea and the mountains, it's what is called shfela, with low hills. So he has part in the shfela. So he has part in almost any kind of type of land of the land of Israel, Yehuda get. And that is related to another thing that we had in Parashat Pinchas, Parashat Hashavua, when Hashem told, it was the other way, Moshe asking Hashem, we should find someone that would be in my place. And you should find someone that can be leader after me, because in the parasha it says that Moshe is not going to get in the land of Israel, he's going to die in the desert, in the other side of the Yarden, and Moshe asked, so we need someone. And then when he asked, he uses a special word, a special name to Hashem, El Elokei Aruchot Lechol Basar. Usually you say Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei, or any other. Here it's used a very special phrase to say Hashem, El Elokei Aruchot, God of the gods, of the spirits, to each flesh, the whole basar, to each person. What does it mean, this special way of naming Hashem, El Elokei Aruchot lechol basar? So Rashi explained again, according to Chachamim, that the meaning was, you should find someone שידע להלוך כנגד רוחו של כל אחד, that would know how to manage with each one of the people. אלוקי הרוחות לכל בשר, each basar, each flesh has other spirit. Each person has other spirit. And the leader that would be in my place should be one that know how to manage with different kind of people. Hashem answered him, no, I will bring you Yehoshua, ish asher ruach bo. One ruach, one spirit. No, the leader also should be the one who decides, not according to what the people think. He should lead and make the people follow him. Of course, the two aspects are correct. The leader should be, for one side, he should be very firm, know how to lead, how to convince the people to go in his way, etc. So this is one purpose, or one role of the leader. But from the other side, you should also know how to approach everyone and how to bring everyone closer to him, and that they would follow him. You should also be speaking the right way to each one of them. So leader from one side should be strong and lead. From one other side, he should be approachable and know how to manage with different kinds of people, different kind of population of society. Returning to Shevet Yehuda. Shevet Yehuda is the leader. Shevet Yehuda should be the one, from him going to come the king. Also maybe from Yosef. Yosef and Yehuda are always the two tribes that are leaders of Am Israel. So Shevet Yehuda should be the one who lead, should be the king. What is special about the king, that he reflects all the people. That's what I said before. So the leader should be the one who leads Shevet Ephraim and Shevet Dan and Shevet Binyamin. All the tribes should find in Yehuda something that is related to them. So that's the reason Yehuda is getting the bigger, or the most diverse Nachala part in the land of Israel, because he should be the one who reflects all the other parts of the land, or all the other part of the nation. So this is maybe another explanation for that. I would mention another thing about the tribes. As you know, most of the tribes disappeared. You know that, right? That we don't know about the tribes. Where are they today? There was an exile in the days of Sancherib from Ashur, Assyria. He took 10 of the tribes, and what's happened with them? It's not very clear. We can say generally there are two opinions. One opinion is that they disappeared, and they will return or not return in the end of the days, right? We are waiting them to return. According to that opinion, for example, the tribes of the Taliban are Jews, all of them, or most of them. They went to that zone. So Makes sense, no?
But the Taliban think they're Jews?
Not themselves. Well, some of them, they are descendants. It's probably correct. I mean, the places where the 10 tribes were taken to is these zones of Afghanistan, all these places. Yes, so there was a rabbi in Israel. I used to pray in the synagogue when I lived in Jerusalem. He passed away. He made a lot of investigation about where the tribes are. And he found tribes. He looked for tribes and he looked for like Jewish traditions. That thing that I do similar to in the names, that the names can be similar to Jewish names. So he found a lot of tribes with some connection to Judaism. It's not necessarily that all these tribes are really Jews, but there are some connections, maybe and maybe not. It's not something that we can prove. He found tribes in Africa, in Asia, and also in these Arab countries. And it's the most strong connection, I think, is these tribes, the tribes of the countries of Afghanistan and Pakistan, all these places.
So in the disbursement, Jews ended up there along with.
The what?
In the disbursement.
What
of
is
the tribe.
disbursement?
Well,
Yeah.
It was broken apart, scattering, the scatter of the tribes.
Yeah.
And some of them ended up in
Yeah,
Afghanistan.
yeah. So again, the places that mentioned in the Bible are that zones, that's for sure. It says that they were taken to there. What's happened from there on, we don't know exactly. We don't know exactly. What?
Does it suggest which tribe they came from?
Yeah, it says also the names of the tribe. He wrote a book about that. It's in Hebrew. I don't know if there is in English. It's very interesting. It's called Rav Avichai. Rav Avichai. So there are tribes with names that similar to Gad or Reuven or Menashe.
It's not the kinds of Persian. These tribes were not there when this English was destroyed.
Yeah, so it's before the destruction. Yeah, way before the destruction. It's 100 of years before the destruction. The first exile was when in Yehuda was King Chizkiah and Sancheriv was a king of Ashur. If Bezrat Hashem we will arrive to Sefer Melachim, we will learn about that. Anyway, the exile was in a few waves. Few times. The first was the 10 tribes. Okay, and then they took him to these zones. And this rabbi, found a lot of traditions that related these people. If you look on the photos, they look Jews. I mean, with the nose and everything, red.
Do we know which tribes people from Ethiopia came from?
People from Ethiopia, I explained that there are two traditions. One related them to Shevet Dan, tribe of Dan,
Yeah.
and some related it to the tribe of Yehuda, that is like us. Anyway, this is one approach, one explanation, that the 10 tribes are disappeared. They live there and they do problems, or not. Okay, anyway, that they disappeared from us and they will return in the end of the days or want to return at the end of the day. Other opinion, that as sources in the Talmud, in Midrashim, that they came back. They came back in some point. I mean, they were taken to exile and we can say merged into the tribe of Yehuda. So they disappeared their uniqueness. For sure, we know that there was some mix before that. We can see in the Bible that there were mixed. People from the tribe of Yehuda lived in the Har Ephraim. And there are a lot of mixed tribes that went from one place to another. But according to this opinion, according to the Gemara, in some places, these tribes came back to the land of Israel in some point and merged into Shevet Yehuda. So actually today we are not only Shevet Yehuda, we are all the tribes. All the tribes together, mixed together. So we don't know exactly, maybe I'm Shevet Zvulun, maybe I'm Shevet Naphtali, I don't know. We don't know which tribe we belongs to, but we all Jews. How do we call Yehudim? What is Yehudim? Yehuda. It's come from the word Yehuda. Yehudim meaning Yehuda. Why are we called Yehudim and not Israelim? Today we call Israelis to the people who live in Israel. It's not. It's a mistake. Israel, we are Am Israel. We should have called everybody of us, each one of us should be called, we are Israelim. We are not Yehudim. Who says that we are Shevet Yehuda? Maybe I'm for Shevet Naphtali, so I should be called Naptalim or whatever. So the reason is that Yehuda, in some way, has the essence of the rest of Am Israel. The essence, it all merged into it. Yehuda represents all Am Israel. It's like I said before, like the kingdom should be reflecting everybody, or the leadership should reflect everybody. And so Yehuda in some way reflecting all Am Israel. It may be that they are outside and they didn't come back, so Yehuda reflects their character. Or it can be that they came back and became part of Shevet Yehuda. So Yehuda is Israel. He is a continue of Israel. You know that Rav Kook, when he wrote, he almost never wrote Yehudi. He always wrote Israelim. He said, now we are in time of redemption, in time of revival of the land of the Am Israel, and we should be more general, not specific tribe, Yehuda. We are Israel. We are everybody, all the Am Israel, not the specific tribe of Yehuda. Okay, so this is right, maybe the right way to say that, but we can say that in some way, Yehuda is Israel. Yehuda is reflecting everybody. We can see that again in the history, and we can see that also in the Nachala, in the place in the land of Israel. As I said before, it's the biggest part because it reflects the different portions, the different parts, the different character of the different tribes. So that was the introduction to the class. Now let's start the class. Now,
Question,
Yeah.
at what point does the term is emerge in this? Is the term Israel a modern term, or is it?
No, the other way, Israel is Yaakov. Yaakov Avinu was named Israel by the angel. If you remember, he fought with the angel, and the angel changed his name to Israel.
Oh,
So Israel is more general than Yehuda. Yehuda is one tribe of Israel. Israel is all the
so
nation.
this goes back to.
Yeah, to Yaakov Avinu. We call Bnei Israel the sons of Israel, meaning the sons of Yaakov. Okay, so Israel is a general word, and Yehuda is a specific. That we can say that in some way, Yehuda also reflects all the rest of the tribe. So Yehuda is the heart of Am Israel. And another parables is a heart. Heart is one organ, right? But it gives blood to all the rest of them. So each organ should do its part in the body, but the heart is what giving life to all the other part of the body. So Yehuda is the heart of Am Israel. And that's the reason that he has this Nachala. Anyway, well, just like I said before, I don't want to skip any verse, but I don't have a lot to say about these verses. Maybe another thing before reading that strange what I said, like we said last time. We can see now we are going to see the names of the cities that Yehuda received. We don't only see the borders of the Nachala, of the place, we also see the names of the city. If you count this number of the cities, you're going to find 112. And it's exactly the number of the cities of the other tribes together, other 7 tribes. Again, so we see, and if you, again, this Nachala of Shevet Yehuda was divided to 12 against, again, the 12 tribes. So we can see also in that, in the details of what we are going to read, also that Yehuda reflects the other tribes, all Am Israel together. So now it starts to mention names of the places, of the cities of Yehuda, divided to province, to zones, the inside Yehuda. And say, Vayi Arim Mikatze Lemate Bnei Yehuda El Gvul Edom Benegba Kavatzel Ve'eder V'Yagut. So, like I said before, I'm going to read, but I don't have a lot to say about each one of these places. There's a lot of studies about this. What the Israeli archaeology. It's very, very developed, and they are looking for that. There are people that can do a year of classes about this chapter to understand where each place. I'm not one of them, so I'm just going to read. So the towns at the far end of the tribe of Yehuda, near the border of Edom, meaning here, this is the border of Edom in the south. In the Negev, where Kavatzel, Ve'eder, Ve'yagur. Kina, Dimona, Ad Ada. Today we have Dimona in the south. So many modern cities are named after ancient cities, even though we are not sure that it's the same place exactly, but it must be the zone. So Kina, Dimona, Ve'ad Ada, Ve'kedesh, Ve'chatzor, Ve'itnan, Zif, Ve'telem, Uve'alot, Ve'chatzor, Chadta, Ve'kiryot, Chetzron, Yichatzor. Amam, Ushma, Umoleda, Ve'chatzar Gada, Ve'cheshmon, Uvet Palet, Ve'chatzar Shual, Uver Sheva. Here, Ver Sheva, we know where is it. Uviziotea, all that in the south, Ba'ala ve'im ve'atzam ve'al tolad uchsil ve'chorma ve'tziklag u'madmena ve'sansena ולבאות ושלחים ואין רימון, כל ערים 29 וחצריהן. We are in verse 32, it says, total 22 towns with their villages. Meaning it's not only the town and all around the town. Now, what we should have done is to count the cities, and we would find out that there are not 29 cities here. It says 29, but it's more like 30 something. So how, and it's always, it repeats in other places. So again, like I said before, there's a lot of investigation. Maybe some of these cities are one city in two names. There are some ways to explain that. But we can see that there is a resume of this part, meaning the part of the south, the far south, we can say. Bashfela, in the lowland. Like I said before, Shfela is the place between the sea and the mountain. There is Shfela, the lowland. And there was generally, the land of the Plishtim. And so it's all, Eshtaol ve'Tzorah ve'Ashne. These cities, Eshtaol and Tzorah, are very famous because there where Shimshon lived. Shimshon, we're going to read in the Sefer of Shoftim, Bezrat Hashem, in the end of Sefer Shoftim, was a judge, and he lived ben Tzorah uven Eshtaol. And what tribe was he? Dan. So this place here, in between, you can see, no, it doesn't say these places. Anyway, it's in the Shfela between Dan and Yehuda. Apparently, these cities belong to both tribes, Dan and Yehuda, or they live together in some mixed way, because Shimshon is from the Dan and he lives there. And here we see that in the tribe of Yehuda, in the Shfela, which is neighbor to Dan. So not only that Yehuda is bigger than everybody else, you also have parts in the other tribes, or the other way. Anyway, Shfela, Eshtaol, Tzorah, ve'Ashne, ve'Zanoach, ve'en Ganim, Tapuach, ve'Ainam, ירמות ועדולם שוחה ועזקה ושעריים ועדיתיים והגדרה וגדרותיים, ערים 14, 14 towns with their villages. And then צנן וחדשה ומגדל גד ודלען והמצפה ויוקתאל, לכיש ובצקת ועגלון וחבון ולחמס וחיתליש, וגדרות בית דגן ונעמה ומקדה, ערים 16 וחצריהן. This one is closer to Jerusalem already. לבנה ועתר ועשן ויפתח והשנה ונציב וקהילה ואכזיב ומרשה, ערים 9 וחצריהן, עקרון ובנותיה וחצריה, מעקרון וימה כל אשר על יד אשדוד וחצריהן. עקרון, we're going to be the wedding, right? קריאת עקרון? Yeah, so עקרון also is a part of the Shfela and related to the Plishtim. So from עקרון to Ashdod, where is Ashdod? It's already near the by the coast, right? So it's going until the sea. So Yehuda had part also near the sea.
Yeah.
So Ashdod bnotea v'chatzerea, Aza bnotea v'chatzerea. Gaza is also part of Yehuda. Ad Nachal Mitzrayim, until the far south, Nachal Mitzrayim. Okay, the sea of Egypt, the river of Egypt, which, as we said before, can be Wadi al-Arish or can be the Nilo. Yeah, Nile River. So it can be until there. Vayam Gadol Ugvul. And of course, the Gvul, the border is the sea, Mediterranean Sea. Uvahar. That all this Shfela and the coast. And now we are going to the Har. Har is a mountain. Uvahar. Shamir ve'Yatir ve'Shocha ve'Dana ve'Kiryat Sana Dvir. If you remember Dvir, Dvir is a place where Otniel ben Knaz took when we saw last class or before that. That was Dvir. So now we are talking about the mountain. וענה ואשתומה ועני וגושן וחולן וגילו ערים 11 וחצריהן. Gilo is closer to Jerusalem from the south. Today we have Shkunat Gilo that was bombed a lot of times. You know, have you heard about Gilo in Jerusalem? It's a neighborhood in the south of Jerusalem that is close to the territories, and they were shooting them. Well, this is apparently close to this Gilo. ערב ורומה ואשען, וינום ובית תפוח ואפקה, וחומתה וקריית ארבעי חברון, וציעור ערים 9 וחצריהן, מעון כרמל וזיף ויוטה. Today we have also an Arab village called Yuta, apparently in the same, around Hebron, in the zone of Hebron, ויזרעאל ויוקדעם וזנוח, הקין גבעה ותמנע, ערים 10 וחצריהן, חלחול וצור וגדור ומערות ובתנות ואלתקון, ערים 6 וחצריהן, 6 towns with a village. Like we said before, each part of these are a zone, and the total is 12 zones. Okay, that was what we said. קריאת בעל היא קריאת יערים, והערבה ערים 2 וחצריהן, במדבר בית הערבה, now we are going to the desert. Until now it was a mountain, now we are going to the desert, במדבר בית הערבה מדין וסככה, והנבשן ועיר המלח ואין גדי. Where is אין גדי? It's near the Dead Sea. En meaning usually some kind of a spring. Ein, it's like a well or something like that. And we know that in En Gedi there's a lot of spring. How do you call it? Oasis? Oasis when you have oasis in the middle of the desert. There is some. So this is En Gedi. And the chapter ends with a verse that is important. We are not going to speak a lot about it. Just mention one thing. It says, but we are in the last verse in chapter 15. But the Yehudaim, means the sons of Yehuda, could not dispose the Yevusim, the inhabitants of Jerusalem. So the Yevusim dwell with the Yehudim dwell with the Yevusim in Jerusalem to this day. So first of all, we already see that Yerushalayim lost in the battle of the 5 kings of the south, if you remember. That explains that many times. The fact that you won a war against a city didn't mean that you took the city. There's a way they're taking the fight, the battle outside the city, but the city itself can stay independent. And that's clearly what it's written here. Maybe they won and they killed the king of Jerusalem, but Jerusalem, they couldn't take Jerusalem itself. Why they couldn't take Jerusalem? I think I'll speak about it more in Sefer Shmuel, B'ezrat Hashem, when we arrive. I just mentioned that always Yerushalayim comes second, also in nowadays. First of all, we took, the state of Israel was without Jerusalem, the old city, and only after that, later, it could arrive. They could take the city, because first you build the body, and then you get the soul. And also only in the days of David HaMelech, like hundreds of years later, they could take Jerusalem. Chachamim related it to some commitment that Avraham did with Avimelech. Avraham promised Avimelech that I won't do a war against you, li ulnini ulnechdi, my son and my grandson. And they said that until the days of David HaMelech, the grandson of Avimelech, who was Yevusi apparently, still lived. Again, it's not very logical because we're talking about hundreds of years, maybe even 1,000 years. But again, the years of living of these people in this time may be different from what we know today, or it's something symbolic. There are some commitment of Avraham that wasn't broke until the days of David. There should be David HaMelech who is taking Jerusalem. And it's related again to the kingdom. To be king, then you can take the heart. King and heart are the same function in many meanings. Anyway, it says that they couldn't take it. You can see, I don't know if you have the verse in front of you. It's written in 2 ways. It says lo yachlu, and it says also lo yuchlu. It's, you know that sometimes there are words in the Torah that is written in one way, and we read it in other way. It's called ktiv ukri. It's written in some way, this is a tradition, but we have oral tradition, spoken tradition, says this word, even though it's written in this way, you should read that in this way. This is one of them. It's written yuchlu, they would not be able, and we read lo yachlu, they couldn't. Meaning that there are some point when we say they cannot, but in some point they would be able. Okay. In this point, when they wrote the book, it said lo yuchlu, they won't be able to take the city. Until when? Until they can. And then when it's changed to past. Lo yachlu, they couldn't in the past, but now they can. Okay, so meaning that Jerusalem couldn't be taken until some point, and from some point it's became possible. Okay, anyway, so this is one point about Jerusalem, but another point, here we're starting to see the problem that we are going to be dealing in the next 100 of years. Am Israel couldn't take all the land of Israel. So Shevet Yehuda could take almost everything. He was the best in what he was doing, and almost all the land of Yehuda was taken by him. And then you're going to see that to find Menashe, there are more places they can take. And when we go down to the tribes, more and more and more places were left not in the hand of the Jews. So like we said before, that was a problem. They couldn't finish totally taking all the land of Israel. And that was left, what was left was the source, the seeds of the problem that are going to deal until the destruction of the temple, actually. Okay, so this is the first part, the first point of that we can see that the tribe of Judah couldn't take Yerushalayim, and from now on, we're going to see that this problem is going to be developed more and more. Well, thank you. Question, yeah.
Is it closer to Yerushalayim or to Tel Aviv?
More or less the same distance, I
equal,
think. I think more.
So who had control of Jerusalem?
There's a nation called Yevusim, Yevus. Yevus, it's one of the nations of the land of Israel, the Canaanim. It says the name here, Yevusi. You see? But the Judahites could not dispossess the Yevusites. It's the name of a nation. We will see later that there are a lot of nations that left in the land of Israel.
But they were Jewish?
No.
Oh.
That's what we are saying. Many parts of the land of Israel stayed in the hand of the Goyim.
Isn't that bad?
They couldn't take all the parts of the land.
So Rabbi, I have one more week, one more Wednesday to be here, then I'm away for 4 weeks.